Hi everyone, it's Miss Chelsea with the Mount Holly Branch Library, and it is Hi everyone, it's Miss Chelsea with the Mount Holly Branch Library, and it's time for so much fun. And when I mean so much fun, I mean SEW. So we're going to talk about finger knitting today. Hi everyone, it's Miss Chelsea with the Mount Holly Branch Library, and today is so much fun. And when I say so much fun, I mean SEW so. So we're going to talk about finger knitting today. There are so many different ways that you can try to sew something or knit something, crochet something. So you can knit. Hi everyone, it's Miss Chelsea with the Mount Holly Branch Library, and today is so much fun. So when I say so much fun, I mean SEW so, because today we are going to learn how to do some finger knitting. Now, there are different ways that you can use yarn and thread. There's crocheting, knitting, there's embroidery, there's needlepoint, lacing. Mr. Jordan actually has a lot of videos already up on the Gaston County Public Library YouTube page showing you many different techniques on how to do that. But today we're going to talk about finger knitting. And hopefully, if we have enough time, we are going to make one of these. And this is just a headband that I used by just knitting with my fingers. So what you'll need, you are going to need some yarn. I used this skein of yarn. It wasn't full when I started with it, and I made 2 headbands out of it, and there's so much still left. So you don't need an entire like huge skein of yarn. You just need you know, probably maybe a quarter at most. You are going to need a pair of scissors. This is just to cut the yarn in certain places so you can tie it off and tie it together. Some other things that you might need is if you want to change the color of your yarn, you can do it different colors. So you may need different skeins, which is what this is called. This is called a skein of yarn. This is the weight for it. It's just the common weight. There's paper clips, or a stitch saver is what I know them as, and pretty much is as you go around when you crochet or you knit and you want to save your place, like where you started from, you can put like this little tiny paper clip on there, or a stitch saver. You can use a little tiny binder clip, anything that's lightweight and not going to pull down on the weight of the yarn. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it and make a headband. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your yarn, place the end of it between your thumb and your first finger, and then you're just going to squeeze that piece of yarn with your thumb. You're going to go over your first finger, behind your second finger, over your ring finger, behind your pinky, wrap around, go over your pinky, behind your ring finger, over your second finger, and then back around over the first, behind the second, over the ring, and then again behind the pinky, wrap around, behind the ring, over the second, and then wrapping around to the first again. You want to have 2 lines on each finger, so like 2 rows of thread, and it's just like that interweaving pattern. You're going to take the bottom thread starting with your first finger, and you're going to take it and put it over the first thread and off of your finger, just like you see here. So you'll go pull it straight up over that thread and then all the way off the finger. And if you have to bend your finger down a little bit to get it off, that's okay. And then you're going to do the same thing on each finger, but you're always going to start with the first finger. So once you get them all off, go ahead and tug those down a little bit, because now that's going to be that bottom row. We're just going to go ahead and add another top row. If you're tired of pinching that tail that you started off with, you can pull it to the back and then wrap it around between the first finger and the second finger and just sort of throw it behind. All right, so your thread now should go behind your second finger, over your ring finger, behind your pinky, wrap around your pinky, behind your ring finger, over your second finger, and then around the first finger. So now we have those 2 rows again. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that bottom thread and do the same thing that you just did a moment ago. So every time we do this, we are creating a row. So this will be our second row. To make the headband, you need a minimum of 30 rows. So it does sort of help to sort of keep track of how many rows you're doing. So this one is going to be our second row, and I'm just pulling some more yarn out so I have more room. And then again, you're pulling that thread down to make room because we got to go make another row on top. So we're making sure that our yarn is between our first finger and our second finger, behind the second finger, over the ring, around the pinky, behind the ring, over the second, and then around the first, and then we're going to pinch that thread in between. And now we're just going to take that bottom row and then just pull it off, and this is going to be our third row. The more you do of these, the quicker it'll be. You'll get used to those movements and you can start moving a lot faster and faster. I was going slow in the beginning just so you could sort of see um, how to pull the thread over, how to line them up, how to place them on. It's pretty much casting on and then just creating your rows. So this is very similar to looming and knitting. You can use the same vocabulary for each one. So again, I'm just pulling those down, making sure I have enough room, and then I'm going to continue to keep going to create some more rows. Now, I had to do more than 30 rows, which once you get a really long rope, you'll wrap it around your head, like you would where you would want your headband to be. And once you've wrapped it around, if it's too small, then you need to add more rows. If it's too big, you need to take some out. So you can continue to pull on the thread just to sort of make it a little bit tighter, to tighten up some of those loops. Now they look really big when they're closer to your finger, but as your rows increase, then the rope that you're essentially creating right now it's going to look like a little bit of a rope. Well, those stitches will sort of tighten themselves up a little bit. So continue to do this until you have, at minimum, like I said, 30 rows. I had to do closer to 40, so just sort of estimate and wrap it around your head to get your own measurements. And then once we get all of that done, we'll go ahead and continue on to making that rope wider. So not longer, but wider. So if you're doing this along with the video, then go ahead and pause here until you get all your rows. So this is what your rope, or all of your rows combined together should look like. It does resemble a rope, and when you try to sort of spread them out, it kind of looks almost like a little bit of a ladder inside, the pattern does. So you're going to go ahead and just try to lay it down and keep it one side up. So making sure that from where it meets your fingers all the way to the end where you started, that the same side is showing up and it's kind of laying flat. And then you're going to stretch that out just a little bit and then wrap it around, making sure that it stays flat and one side up. All right, so twist it onto its side, making sure that the outside is completely lined up. So it's just standing up on one side and it's not twisted, because this is where we're going to twist it. We're going to bring it over the rope that is connected towards our fingers. So if you look down the side of this where we were just standing it up on, you'll see that this little pattern looks like there's little V stitches. You're going to take the side that is closest to the inside and pull it down. And then you're going to go ahead and start wrapping around your fingers like you've been before, and then you're going to pull both of those strands at the bottom up over the strand at the top, just like you've been doing. And then you're going to find that next V stitch, put it over your finger, and then take your thread and just like you were doing before, over, under, back around, and then pull those two strands over the top one and over your finger. And what this is going to do is this is going to create a wider or a width row that's going to go all the way around the rope and make it wider. And as you do some more of these, you'll start to see, you can kind of see it right there. Not great because it's kind of stretched out. But once I get going, you'll be able to see it more clearly. All right, so we have both rows on there, our width rows on there to make it wider. You need to do a total of 5 of these. So we've gotten 2. We made one when we started, and then we just went around it and did another one. So we need to do this 3 more times. And if you want to use a stitch saver or a stitch keeper, you can use a paper clip, a very small binder clip, just to sort of save your place. If you notice that it looks twisted, it's supposed to. and we'll get to that later on. So for now, just keep following that V, putting your finger on the side that is towards the inside of the circle. As you can see where my finger points to it. And then you're just going to continue those movements. You're going to do this all the way around and around and around until you get to 5 different rows. So this is where I show you that we've had 4 rows completed so far. So you've done your 3rd row, your width row, now you've done your 4th. So this is 4 rows. And I just want to show you, if you need to pause your work and take a break, how to get the yarn off your fingers so you can put them back on later without you losing your place. So I use a lead pencil. You can use a crochet hook, whatever, but you're going to go underneath, starting with your pinky, and then pulling that yarn off of each finger, but you're going to go underneath each time. And the reason you start with your pinky is so you can end with your first finger, because your first finger is going to be the finger you start with when you pick this back up. And then you can just lay it down. And you'll know that those 4 hoops are where your fingers should go. So when you're starting back, you're going to take your finger and go underneath the loop and then slide it onto your finger. Every single time you'll go underneath. So if you want to take it off, you'll take your pencil starting with the pinky and go underneath. If you put them on, starting with your first finger, you'll take them off the pencil going underneath it. And then you're right back where you started. So this is all 5 rows. So this is where you can sort of see just exactly how wide it's going to be. And then this is what the outside of it looks like. So you don't see like those weird ridges like you do on the inside, but on the outside you see the pretty pattern. So now that we're finished with our width rows and we're ready to take these off our fingers, we need to cast off. So you'll start with the first finger, the thread, or the yarn, you're going to pull it off your finger and onto your second finger. And then you're going to take the one on the bottom and lift it off of your finger going over that yarn. And then you're going to repeat that step. So from the middle finger, you'll take that piece of yarn and put it over your ring finger, taking the bottom piece and going over that one and off the finger. So then you'll do the same thing. You're going to repeat that step again, and then you'll take that bottom piece, pull it over your pinky, and then you're going to pull that tight, and it's going to create a loop. And then when you pull it tight, it's going to prevent that yarn from unraveling. And so now just straighten it out. Keep the twisted section of your headband in the front where the threads are, where my hands are right now. So your backside should be one straight, really pretty piece, and then your twisted section should go in the front, because we're going to tie those together and then we're going to wrap yarn around them. So go ahead and pull out a good handful of yarn. You can see how much I'm pulling here. And snip that off. And then go ahead and just bunch it up a little bit, because we're going to put it through that loop that we just created when we cast it off. So place it through the loop, and then take the end and then pull tight. That's going to create a knot, so we can seal that off without it unraveling in the future. So just go ahead and create a knot. Leave about 3 to 4 inches cut. And now we can tie that end to the beginning point where we started when we made the headband from the start. So from that tail that we put between our thumb and our first finger, go ahead and make a knot. I do a triple knot, which means I just tie it once, and then I tie it again, and then I tie it one more time to be safe. And then once you get your knot in place and it's good and tight, go ahead and snip that as close to the knot as you can to get rid of that thread. And then straighten your headband back out, making sure that twisted piece is right there where you just tied. Because what we're going to do is take one end of that bundle that we just pulled out. We're going to slide it through one of the holes in the headband. We're going to tie it off so it doesn't come unwrapped anywhere. And I'm just tying it around itself and just making a little knot. And then you just start wrapping that bundle around where you had tied off the starting and ending point of this headband. All right, everyone, Thank you so much for joining us today for so much fun. If you do get to make a headband of your own, send us a picture. Let us know how it worked out for you. If you had any problems, let us know how it went. What's wrong? Let's see if we can figure out a solution for it. If you make anything else with finger knitting that's not a headband and you want to share, send us a picture. We'd be glad to share it with everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful day. We miss everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.